Karen sends a disabled man to the ER, posted by ND25607. Here's a brief backstory. I'm 33-year-old female and I double RN for a local clinic during the day and an ER overnight. I'm married with 3 children. So it was an ordinary day at the clinic. There wasn't much going on since Kevin, just dealing with the usual PT or patient woes. Cough and sneezing, minor bodily injury, all that. Whenever a man comes in, and let's call him Todd, he enters with a service dog, a beautiful border collie. Naturally, the dog brings out all the ladies in my office, myself included. My AA or administrative assistant, named Nicole, does her regular scripted greeting towards the patient and asks the young man what brings him in. He's come in because he wasn't feeling well. The administrative assistant gets him started with the paperwork while myself and the MA, medical assistant, and the rad tech are making cooing noises towards this sweet fur baby. While the patient is filling out the paperwork, this small conversation took place. I say, "Hi sir, how are you today? What brings you in?" Todd says, "Well, you see, I haven't been feeling well. I'm having difficulty breathing in and out of my nose, and I'm congested in my chest." "Hey, I'm sorry to hear that. Can I ask, why do you have a service dog? We are legally allowed to ask this question due to the ADA guidelines." "Oh, I was born with Usher syndrome." "What's Usher syndrome?" "Usher syndrome is where, over time, you progressively lose your ability to see or hear. In my case, it started when I left my mom. Yeah, because of my condition, I've also developed an anxiety condition that Abby was trained to sense and cue me down." "Oh, I am so sorry to hear that, sir. Please don't hesitate to call or ask us for help filling out any of the paperwork, okay?" "Oh, thank you, but that won't be necessary. I can see a little, but some things are blurry, but thanks for asking." "Oh, sure, sir. If you need any assistance, let us know. By the way, your doggo, she's really sweet. What breed is she?" "Oh, Abby, she's a 3-year-old boarder and she's been my best friend for years. I don't know what I'd do without her. I've raised her since she was a pup." "Oh, how sweet. Well, hey, I best be getting back to work. I'll be seeing you and Miss Abby in just a minute," as I ruffle the pup's collar. "Let me or Nicole know if you need anything." We part ways, briefly to go get the room ready for Todd and Abby. That's when we hear the door chime, indicating that another visitor has entered the facility. Per Nicole, she introduced our Karen. This woman looks like a version of Kirstie Alley, hands her the necessary paperwork, and Karen goes to sit down only a few seats down from Todd. Todd gets up to hand Nicole the paperwork that he's filled out, and Abby perks up and helps Todd across the room. Karen apparently didn't like this and keeps grunting and throwing nasty looks in Todd and Abby's direction. Todd and Abby take their seat and are waiting on myself and the MA to bring them to the back. Karen gets up and approaches Nicole. "Here you go." She hands back the clipboard with the paperwork. "Oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry," Nicole says, "but I noticed that you haven't completed your paperwork. Is there something I can help you with?" "No, I don't feel comfortable in here." "I'm sorry to hear that. Can I ask how I can make you feel more welcome?" "Why, yes, you can start by removing that filthy flea bag." Ma'am, I'm sorry, but that's something I cannot do," Nicole replies. "Ugh, why not? It's unsanitary to have a filthy animal in a sterile field. That dog doesn't belong in here." Perfect timing. Poor Abby perks her ears up as she is hearing an ambulance pass by the clinic with its horn blaring and brings her to howl. "Ah, shut up, you filthy flea bag," she screeches at the dog. "Shut that stupid mutt up." Todd chimes in, "Hey, I'm so sorry. Shush, Abby." He pulls in her lead and tries to get Abby to settle down. She doesn't often do this. Bull crap. That mangy mutt probably isn't a real service dog anyway. Probably just bought the vest off of eBay, you lying craphead. Nicole replies, "Ma'am, I am sorry, but you cannot be approaching our other patients or the dog. The dog is a service dog for this patient. Please lower your voice. It may disturb the other patients in the office." She tries to redirect Karen as she says, "Would you like my help filling out your paperwork so you can be seen by the provider?" "No, I want this mutt removed and to speak to your provider." "Sure, ma'am." Nicole places a brief call to the back nurse station and requests that I come out to the front and give a brief indication that there is an urgent matter happening out front. So I get up and I go out to the front where I greet and meet our Karen. "Hi, ma'am, how are you doing today?" I say. "Not so good, honey. You see, I came in here because I'm experiencing a lady problem, and this beast here keeps making inappropriate noises, and it stinks. I've asked your receptionist here to do her job and get that beast out of here, and she refuses to kick that kid and his mutt out. It's just not okay." "Oh, well, I am so sorry to hear that. What noises are you hearing that you find inappropriate?" "It's howling and panting, and it's just so nasty and unsanitary." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but per the ADA, we cannot discriminate against the disabled or prevent them from using a service animal." "What? He is abusing that animal. How can you people be so cruel and disgusting? You'll burn in heck, you piece of crap." She wags her finger at Todd now. "Ma'am, that is enough. You're going to have to calm down, or I am going to have to ask you to leave. There is no need for that name calling or for this issue to escalate. That dog is a service animal and is here to assist his owner in daily tasks. Now, if you would like to still be seen by myself or my provider, I can go ahead and take you to the back and have you wait in an exam room." "Really? I want to see that mutt's papers." She approaches Todd with her hand out, demanding for his registration papers. "Ma'am," and I get between her and Todd to prevent Karen from getting too close, "that is not necessary, and you're not allowed to ask anyone for proof of identification or medical necessity. I think it's best you find another physician's group to care for you, as we won't be able to help you today." "Ugh, how dare you? Why can't you see me? And why do I have to leave? That monster and his filthy mutt should leave," she argues. "I demand you kick them out now." "Ma'am, I have asked you to stop yelling. I am sorry, ma'am, but I will not be able to treat you today, as you're acting very inappropriate and causing a commotion here. Could you please leave?" "Oh, shut up. I can do and say whatever the heck I want to, and I will not leave until I am seen and that monster with his mutt are thrown out." While my back and attention was focused on Karen, Abby had gotten up and was alerting to her owner's distress cues from Todd. All of Karen's screaming had begun to make Todd panic. That's when Todd stood up, grabbed Abby's lead, and just collapses on the floor after slightly hitting one of the other chairs in the waiting room. I quickly turn around, rush to Todd, and order Nicole to get the MA and the other RN. "Oh, stop faking it, you stupid idiot." She scuffles and approaches Todd, kicks his boot, trying to make a move. Nicole returns with my MA and RN. While all three of us attend to Todd, Nicole asks for Karen to step back a bit. "Why the heck do I have to step back? He is faking it. Get that dang mutt out of here. I told you this was no place for him." "Shut the heck up, dang it." Not my finest hour, but I was panicked and irritated at this woman's audacity. The whole room goes quiet. This would be one of those very rare occasions that I have ever gotten this angry. I call over my shoulder for Nicole to phone the authorities and an ambulance. I proceed to position Todd on his back with the help of the RN, and I check his airways and use my hands to feel the back of his neck and his head to make sure there's no bleeding or swelling. I also use my stethoscope to check his heart and lungs. I then proceed to try and wake Todd up. He is not responding. I take out my ophthalmoscope from my scrub jacket's pocket and try to look into Todd's eyes. I check his pulse, and I ask my RN to get his blood pressure and pulse oximeter using her wrist cuff. I speak over my shoulder to the MA to start an IV line. I don't think it's life-threatening, but I don't want to risk it with how quickly Todd went down. Besides, he did say he was having issues breathing, and I know we do not have that type of equipment within the office if he begins to code. The longest 20 minutes of my life. And an IV drip started. Todd is on the gurney bed of an ambulance, and he's being loaded into the back of it. I turned to the local authorities that followed the ambulance and asked them to remove Karen from the premises. "But you haven't even asked about how I was doing." "Ma'am, you'd be lucky that I don't personally press charges against you for assaulting myself, my staff, and that patient. You should be ashamed of yourself." "Oh, pish-posh, I did nothing wrong. You, not me, should be arrested for allowing that beast in here." "Enough is enough," the officer replies. "Karen, please follow me." And the officer just drags her out of the office with her stammering. The office did press for a trespassing ordinance against Karen and escorted her out of the building. We haven't seen or heard from her since. As for Todd, and thanks to one of the daytime employees at the local ER, Todd is doing much better and needed to be observed overnight due to his head trauma and cardiac arrhythmia, just for precautions. He made a full recovery. When his relatives arrived at the hospital, the parents pressed assault charges against the Karen. I have been in communication with their attorney. Entitled Mom Tries to Kidnap Her Own Kid, posted by Senior Motor 2647. This story happened in the summer of 2021. As I stated, I'm a nanny then and now. I was hired for the summer by a relatively wealthy man, and I'll call him John, and to take care of his 9-year-old daughter, E. She was such a warm-hearted and sweet young girl. If anything, she was really shy and introverted. This story starts right off the bat on my first day. I got to the house and I noticed a few windows had boxes covering a hole. I asked John about it when I came inside, and the following conversation happened. "Hey John, what happened to the windows?" He looked at me and flinched. "Oh, well, as you know, E's mother and I are divorced, and I have full custody, and there's a restraining order against her for us. We discussed this when I was hired. Well, her mom showed up this morning demanding to see E and have her stay with her. When I refused and told E to go upstairs, she threw things out the windows and left. I made a police report." "Wow, was she arrested?" He shook his head and said, "They couldn't find her, but I called my lawyer, and when they find her, she will be arrested for breaking the restraining order." I nodded and was about to ask what to do if she shows back up, but E called for us and we decided to stop. E came in and we went about our daily routine, and John worked from home today just in case. She never came. A few days go by and we don't hear or see her. Me and E are getting quite close and we enjoy our time together playing games and going outside. A week later, I get to work and Dad is telling me he has to go to a meeting for work when, bang! The front door gets hit, and later discovered it was kicked. We found a boot print multiple times. Then I hear her screaming, "Let me in! I want to see her! She's my daughter!" I look to John and he tenses and takes a deep breath. He gestures upstairs and I know what he means. I run up the stairs and go to E's room. She's getting ready for the day and I tell her to get back in the corner. I don't know this lady, and I don't know why the restraining order was in place, but I wasn't going to risk her hurting E. I put a chair under the door and tell E to put on her soundproof headphones and watch her tablet. I can tell she was scared and was trying to ask what was happening. I just smiled and said, "Everything is fine." I knew she had an idea, but I wanted to try as hard as I could. I heard yelling downstairs as I put her headphones on. She got in somehow, and I think he opened the door to tell her to leave, and I heard steps upstairs. I called 911 as she was banging on the door screaming E's name. I told them the address and the situation, and as I did, I saw the chair starting to move away from the door. I made the stupid decision to open the door and be the barrier myself. I quickly slammed the door and put myself between them. She shouts, "Who are you, his new whore? Get away from my daughter, she's mine!" I wasn't moving. I told her I'm the nanny and there's no way that she's getting past me. I then heard a small knock on the door. "Mrs. B," her last name starts with B, "what's going on? Can I come out?" I look at the mom and she just yells, "E, come out, it's mommy, come talk to me." He doesn't respond and John comes upstairs and says the police are on the way. She will be arrested when they get here. Finally, the entitled mom leaves, telling E through the door to unblock her number so they can talk. And she leaves. The cops come and she's already long gone. We make a report and they leave. You'd think it'd be over, but oh no. John is worried about leaving, but he has to make this meeting for his business. I told him it would be okay and to just go. When he leaves, I have E downstairs sitting with me and we are making bracelets. She's very on edge, and even the slightest noise makes her jump. After a few hours, she's a bit better and laughing at some Five Nights at Freddy's videos with me when I hear a knock on the door. I freeze, and so does E. I check the camera, and it's not her. I use the doorbell speaker and ask who it is. She asks if the car outside is mine, and I said yes, it was. She told me she hit it backing out of her driveway. I facepalmed. Could this day just get any worse? Yes, it can. I go outside to do the insurance thing with the neighbor and go inside to call my mom. I'm 19 at this time and the car was in her name, and call insurance. After a few minutes, I hear a loud bang. My blood goes cold. Did I lock the door behind me? Ah, crap. As I start running, I hear E scream, "No, go away, let me go." As I turn the corner from the stairs, I see entitled mom grabbing E and trying to drag her from the couch. I immediately run at her, grab her arm, wrench it back, and kick her in the knee. She yells in pain and falls back. I automatically put myself between E and her mom. While the mom recovers, I put my hands behind my back and sign to E to grab the phone in my pocket. Call 911. I know ASL, and I was teaching E for fun throughout the days. She wasn't great at it, but I think those signs were more obvious. As I felt her grab my phone, I see a glint and I'm face to face with a gun pointing at me. I raised my hands up and entitled mom says, "You dumb witch, move aside. I'm here for my daughter and I'm not leaving without her. She's mine." "I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen. You can't be here." "I don't give a dang what the courts say. She's my daughter and they have no right to say I'm unfit. He's been hurting her. I know it." I've never heard this before and frankly didn't believe it, but I still figured I had an opening. Well, if that's true, then call the cops. They'll take your view into account. You and I know cops are more likely to believe moms over dads. I don't really know that, that's just what I thought at the time. No. The courts and police don't get to decide what rights I have and don't. I'm taking her from her horrible father. Now, step aside or I will shoot you. I again shook my head. "I'm sorry, but that's just what you'll have to do that because I can't let you take her." Briefly, I close my eyes expecting a bang and the gun to fire when E speaks up. "Mom, no, I don't want to go with you. Don't hurt her. She's my friend. Just go away. Dad isn't hurting me. He loves me. Only one who hurts me is you by doing this." To say I was shocked was an understatement. So was entitled mom. "You don't mean that it's your dad turning you against me. I'm your mother and you'll do what I say. Now come here." E stands and I grab her and keep her behind me. No way am I letting my girl anywhere near her gun or not. "No, Mom, the cops are on the way. I called them and they've been on the phone since, so they'll be here any minute. If you hurt Mrs. B, they'll see it." There was a look of realization cross her face and, without another word, tucks and runs out the front door. I run after her to see if she was in a car. She was, and I quickly took things to memory like color, make and model, and the person driving the car. She wasn't alone. She takes off and under 5 minutes, the cops arrive. I'm in the living room holding E, comforting her, telling her she's safe and she was so brave. To quickly explain everything else. The cops take my statement, Dad comes home, and I explain through tears about how I was so stupid and left the front door unlocked. He assured me that it wasn't my fault and he was so thankful that I was willing to protect E with my life. Entitled mom was arrested for a number of charges: breaking a restraining order, attempted kidnapping, attempted murder, and breaking and entering. Later on, I was called as a witness and filled out reports, but entitled mom took a plea deal for like 3 years in prison as long as she signed over her rights, or they'd go to trial, and she risked around 15 years. She signed. I unfortunately had to leave this nanny job because my college was opening again and I had to go back. But I said if a trial needed to happen, I'd fly back. And if they needed anything, they had my number. E gave me the biggest hug on my last day. John gave me a goodbye gift that was actually a brand new Prada bag that was worth like $1,300 as a goodbye present, and gave me my last check in an envelope, which was odd because he never did that before. He just smiled and said to open it when I got home. I agreed and said goodbye. When I drove home, he tripled my pay, which I made like $800 a week. Inside was a note saying the rest was for school. I was studying child psychology to be a child therapist, and he knew that and said I would be great at it, and if I ever needed a reference to call him. It's been a few years now, but I still occasionally hear from E and we talk for a while. She likes to ask me girl questions and have like a sister talk. Her dad is engaged now and E really likes her and calls her mom already. Nothing made me happier. I'm so glad E was able to come back from this trauma and that I could help in this situation. Easily one of the craziest I've been through, but I got through it okay. Your daughter is a monster, posted by Alley Fox. Context: this happened nearly 20 years ago in my last year before college. The way our school years are separated differs from both the USA and Europe or the rest of Canada. The important thing is that the year teaches 16 to 17-year-olds. Your daughter is a monster, or the first time I was ever sent to the principal's office. The cast is me, my mom, the principal, the entitled parent, and the shy girl. I was part of a special program aimed at higher degrees of science and technology than the usual curriculum. To stay in that program, a student had to maintain good grades, couldn't fail a class, needed to do all their homework on a computer, it really wasn't common at the time, and be on their best behavior at all time during school. In 5 years, the program went from 3 full class groups to less than half of one. We weren't used to being mixed with other students from other programs or from regular classes because we had less time in core classes and more in science and technology. But in our last year, they had no choices but to mix us in because of how small our group had gotten. That's when I met Shy Girl. She had taken advanced biology as an optional class. We weren't friends or anything, we had just met, but she was nice enough. The teacher, entitled parent of this story, was new to our school and, to put it bluntly, wasn't very good at her job. She liked to say that the reason so many students had failed the first exam was because she was French and we hadn't made an effort to understand her. In the second month of class, she decided to pick Shy Girl to answer a question. Shy Girl mumbled an answer, and even though I was in the row right before her, even I didn't understand what she said. Entitled parent exploded. I don't think there's a better description of the screams and insults that came out of her mouth. She also turned a weird purplish color I had never seen on a human face before. Everything came out of her mouth. How Shy Girl was developmentally disabled with a much meaner tone. How she should be in the special eds class. How ugly she was. I stood up and told her to stop bullying the Shy Girl. Entitled parent turned her ire on me. The thing is, she couldn't complain about my class performance, so instead, she turned to insulting the class. More people started to get up. One dude threw his pencil case at her, and her screams cranked up. She would have put a banshee to shame. She yelled until she ran out of gas and expected us to just apologize and sit back down, accept the after-school detention she had given us until Christmas break, and shut the heck up. Her words. Shy Girl was crying at this point. I packed my stuff up, and entitled parent yelled at me some more. I packed the Shy Girl's stuff, took her by the arms, and started to walk her out of class. Entitled parent, the teacher, says, "And where do you think you are going, miss?" I'm yelling and shout, "Away from a bully! Whoever loves me, follow me!" I walked out of the class, slamming the door. The teacher next door asked if we were okay, and I just told him that I was going to the principal's office. He gestured me to be on my way when the rest of the class exited the class. Without speaking, we all went to our common area, which coincidentally was right in front of the principal's office. It was empty when we arrived. He had been called elsewhere. Imagine his shock when he was greeted by 30 students all waiting in front of his office. We explained the situation, and he told us to stay in the common area for the rest of class and that he would talk to entitled parent. You think that's the end of the story? No, the best is what follows. The principal called my mom for a meeting between him, entitled parent, my mom, and me. In my whole school career, this was the first and the only time I was called to the office. My mom was exasperated. "Not you too. I have enough of being called every other week for one of your brothers." Principal says, "We are here today because entitled parent says your daughter cursed at her. Honestly, possible that I did. I have quite a mouth on me, but I don't remember if I did or not, and didn't remember at the time either." Mom says, "I can see that she could. Yeah, she did know me well enough to know that I could curse like a sailor when angry." Principal says, "The story I got from other students and entitled parent are extremely different. It was apparently the 5th meeting that day about that incident, all demanded by entitled parent." That's when she blew up, again, started crying and screaming all at once. "Your daughter is a monster. OP, madam," talking to my mom, "I have 3 children. I have 3 children, madam. I have 3 children and I never hurt them because I, OP, am a mom. I have 3 children." For 5 whole minutes, she went on and on about having 3 children and being a mom. Nothing else. My mom says, "Look, I have 3 children too. If you say that my kid cussed you out, I believe you. She's not an angel." My mom was trying to calm entitled parent down to get her to be able to talk any sense. Entitled parent just kept going on and on about being a mom to 3 kids, that she was entitled to see us all punished for that because with her being a mom to 3 kids, she couldn't have done anything to any of us. She wanted me expelled. In fact, she wanted the whole class expelled. "None of you deserve for me to impart my knowledge with you because I'm a mom of 3 kids." She got up and left the office, slamming the door. Principal says, "Not again. It's the 4th time today. The only meeting she hasn't done it in was the first one this morning." He went on to explain that he had another 10 meetings with other parents and students from the other class later in the day, and he wasn't looking forward to it. He told my mom to disregard anything entitled parent said, but that he had to get her back for the rest. It took him nearly half an hour to get her back, somewhat calm. Principal says, "Here's my plan for the rest of the year. OP, you will stay in the library during class time. During exams, you will be accompanied by a teacher's assistant. As soon as you are done with the exam, you will leave the class quietly." OP's mom, "Are you okay with that arrangement?" My mom said yes. Entitled parent says, "She should be expelled. I want her to be expelled because I have 3 kids and I don't deserve that." She stormed off again. The meeting stopped there. I didn't even get to say a word. The worst is, if she had been calm during that meeting and talked to my mom like a normal person, I would have been in deep crap. My mom was the type of parent to trust whatever a teacher said and to punish us harshly for it. But that woman was so insane that she bought me an ice cream on the way home. The rest of the year was passed in the library for me during that class, except for exams. The teacher's assistant was assigned to the class permanently after another incident. The dude who threw the pencil case confirmed he did do it. He was suspended for 1 day and joined me in the library. Entitled parent was fired at the end of the year after she blew up, accusing and trying to expel a class of 12-year-olds for being the reason CPS was taking an interest in her parenting. She accused them personally of being responsible. I think she got CPS attention of her own merit at home. Everyone I knew all confirmed that meeting with entitled parent, nice principal, their parents, and them went the same way mine did. Now there's a couple interesting comments. I want to hear about the other incident. Sorry River 3561 says, "This is pure hearsay, but she apparently blew a fuse at a 13 to 14-year-old for questioning her. Kid said that he didn't understand the material. She said that he was being obtuse on purpose to rile her up." Justin Old Baby Boomer says, "Sounds like her psychiatric issues made her unfit to be a teacher anywhere." Boheme Winter says, "Yeah, this doesn't strike me as intentional entitlement. I think she was acutely ill. That's why I want to know more about the story to see what in the world happened. Like, this is not a normal type of behavior here." Psycho Karen demands my house and sues me. Jail time for her with updates. Click the video on your screen. You don't want to miss this insane story, and I'll see you there.